Good afternoon, everyone. I can see lots of people flowing in, which is excellent. Thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar, Linking Production and Financial Planning. My name is Amber Woods, and I'm the Head of Marketing here at AgriWebb. I am joined today by Lockie Thomas from Figured. We've got Nicolette Vaughan from Principal Focus and a shared customer of ours, Josh Walter from Mumblebone Merinos. We're going to kick off in a couple of minutes. We'll just wait for a few more people to flow in, and then, yeah, we'll get started. But thank you again for joining us. As you are coming in, we would love to know where you're tuning in from. So feel free to jump into the chat at the bottom of your screen. There's a little chat box, and yeah, let us know where you're tuning in from. And look, I've actually remembered for once that we have a poll as well. So I'll launch that now, and people can jump into that as they're joining. So we've got a bit of
Yeah,
a poll that's popping up on your screen for those that are jumping in now, just to give us an idea of kind of who we've got on the call today. I know we've got a great mix of Figured advisors and consultants and customers, AgriWebb customers and prospects, and then shared, and then those that are completely new to both. So yeah, just wanted to get an idea of who is joining us today. And it does look like we've got a great mix. So I'll leave that poll running for a little bit. For those that have just jumped on, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We're going to get started in a couple of minutes, but as you are joining, we have a poll up on the screen, and then we'd also love to know where you're tuning in from. And it looks like we've got a great spread of attendees as well from all over. Mark Morton from Figure, from Armidale. Hi, Mark. Thanks for jumping on. Jess Ships in Cairns. Got Brianna from Claremont, a couple from WA, all over the place. I was going to make a poll question about state of origin, but it felt a bit risky, so I'll leave that one out of the conversation for now. And I might finish the poll up and I'll just share those results so you guys can have a look if you're interested. But we will run this poll again at the end of the session. If I remember to share it, Lock, I might need a reminder. Okay, perfect. Well, we might jump in. We've got a decent number on the call now, so we'll get started. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. My name is Amber. I'm the head of marketing here at AgriWebb. I've been at AgriWebb for almost 6 years now. I grew up on a dryland cropping farm at Taloona in between Gundy and Moree, but I live out now on my husband's farm at Rowena in northwest New South Wales. So I've headed further west, which I'm not sure if my parents are thrilled about, but it's awesome out here. I absolutely love it. And yeah, really excited to be on the call today. As I said, we are joined by Lockie Thomas, who's an account executive at Figured. We've got Nicolette Vaughan, who is a senior consultant at Principal Focus. Josh Walter, who is a shared customer of all of ours, and he's from Mumblebone Merinos. And so we'll jump into the session now. As a quick agenda, I'm going to do a welcome and just a quick overview of AgriWebb. Lockie's going to give a really quick overview of Figured as well. And then we're going to jump into sort of the main attraction for today, which is sort of a fireside conversation between the four of us, really focusing on Josh and his experience using Figured, AgriWebb, and working with Principal Focus, and Nicolette and her perspective as a senior consultant in working with producers. And then we'll finish up with a Q&A. So as we do move throughout the session, if you have questions for any of the panelists today, please feel free to pop those into either the chat at the bottom of your screen, or there is a Q&A for those of you who have recently updated your Zoom. So a very quick overview of AgriWebb. Who are we? We are a livestock management software. Our mission statement is that we hope to empower the livestock industry with the best tools to feed the world sustainably, profitably, and efficiently. A couple of high level stats. We're very, very proud of these. So I want to call a couple of them out. We've got more than 23 million animals under management globally. More than 18,000 producers trust us to manage those animals across more than 150 million acres. We have an incredibly low churn rate, which we're especially proud of. So people join AgriWebb and they stick around, and we bring on more than 100 new farms a month. And so, in doing all of that, really, what we're hoping to provide, at the core of what we're hoping to provide is value to the producer. And we hope to achieve this by simplifying farm management, eliminating compliance pain, and ultimately improving overall farm performance. And a couple of the ways that we do this and try to equip farmers to be more efficient and profitable is by allowing them to capture records across their full farm and in turn create reports that allow them sorry, struggling with the words today, allow them to make more decisions to improve the productivity of their operations. And kind of the missing piece of this has been tying the full farm management with connecting farm data with financial data. And so our recently launched integration with Figured has been a really exciting update. And on that note, I'll hand over to Locke for a quick overview.
Yeah, thanks, Amber. I definitely agree. It's a match made in heaven, AgriWebb and Figured, and I think we're really excited about, I guess, where things are heading in this direction. So, from a Figured perspective, what we do is really help with that farm financial management. So, what we do is we tie in with the cloud accounting softwares that you might be using, so Xero, Mild, QuickBooks, and we bring that information that fantastic information that comes from you enter a bill, it's in the cloud. We can bring that directly into Figured straight away and really empower you to give that information an agri-specific home. And that's where that production data becomes really important. And what we're working towards now with especially integrations such as this one is being able to connect that data in so you're not having to double handle. You don't have to enter it in AgriWebb and then do it again in Figured. We're connecting those systems. So everything flows through your cloud accounting software. Everything you do in AgriWebb just comes straight into Figured, and the whole farm picture can be built in that one place. So what that looks like is we have three different core pillars, which we can run through very briefly. Is that continuous visibility that we enable by having that real-time data. So just on that next slide, you'll be able to see how bringing together that information that sits within AgriWebb and your cloud accounting software really just means that you know exactly what your entire farm picture looks like today. And I think the benefit of that is that you don't have to spend time trying to understand where you are, trying to make decisions in the moment more based out of an emotional nature, because you can actually jump online and very quickly see what does my position today look like. And then the power of that is that it leads all your conversations to be looking into the future, being able to easily budget, easily forecast, and really understand where you're going and spend more time looking at that bigger picture, navigating changes as they come up, and really be quite dynamic in the way that you make your decisions, but also quite confident in those decisions because you can model them out quickly based on what today looks like. And then that leads into the last point of proactive touch points. And really, by having all these systems connected all online in the cloud, it means all that information is available at any time, which is a really rich data asset. And data is the key to making good decisions. And so what we're trying to do, which you'll see on the next slide, is really be that tool to bring together the whole farming team. So rather than sharing spreadsheets, trying to keep up and have that data up to scratch to have the conversations you need with your internal and external farming teams, it's all just sitting there in the cloud. If the bank sends an email through or gets in contact saying, we just want to do an annual review or have some information, you just have to click a few buttons and it's all there. Whether you're trading to your advisor and you're really thinking about that long-term strategy, again, you've got that information to work with and you can model out quickly, whether it's with your accountant, your farming team. It's just about having that access and that ease to really get the information you need and make those decisions. So with that in mind, I think it's a really perfect segue into the conversation that we're excited to have today with Nicolette and Josh, and kind of understand on a really practical level how using these systems, what can they do to enable that farmer and an advisor relationship and really get better outcomes for your farm.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Locke. That was a great overview. And again, yeah, just wanted to call out again. So as we move through the session, if you do have any questions that are specific to Figured or AgriWebb, or if you have questions for Nicolette or Josh, please pop them in the chat or the Q&A at the bottom of your screen, and we'll make sure we get to as many of those as we can throughout the session. And Josh, I'm going to hand over to you now just to give us a quick overview of who you are, your operation, and yeah, a little bit about Mumblebone Merinos. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm the operations manager at Mumblebone Merinos in Wellington, New South Wales, and I have been here for about 3 years now. It's a 5-generation family and business. Been here for a long time. Rather large farm and a rather large merino stud with 3,000 odd head in the as the stud ewes, and big commercial operation in the background of that, and a very unique team. Chad and Lou, the owners, obviously, and the three of us. We've got a New Zealander, a Victorian, and myself. So we've got a bit of a mixed bag going on. But no, it's really good. It's a fantastic place in Wellington for grazing animals. Beautiful country through here, quite kind on sheep and cattle, and yeah, so can't sort of express how much today is really helpful for us to talk about as well internally, with all my staff and everyone listening in the background here, just to be really open with the business, and obviously only been here 3 years, so to come in and as an operations manager and try to get to know the business, how do I reflect on that business, how do I make that business better as a part of my role. These tools we're going to talk about today have been absolutely key to that functioning very well and easily. Yeah, so that's where we're at. Looking forward to talking about it today, actually. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Josh. That was a great overview. Very excited to jump into the conversation. But before we do, I'll just hand over to Nicolette to introduce yourself and give us a little bit of an overview of your role at Principal Focus.
Thanks, Amber. As Amber has obviously indicated, I work in the Principal Focus team as one of our senior consultants there. So some of you may know of Principal Focus. We are an accounting and advisory firm. We have offices in Dubbo and Warren, New South Wales. We service clients predominantly across New South Wales, and we work with 100+ farming families effectively. So whilst we are an accounting firm, actually more than 50% of our work is on the advisory side of things. So what that actually means in real life is work like management accounting, so real world, not tax values, things like that, strategic planning, CFO meetings, and a big portion of our work is actually around education and reporting systems. So set up and implementation of those systems and working with clients, not just as a one-off project as such, but ongoing, and in particularly with the planning side of things. So how that looks and feels on a day-to-day basis is we will, with a lot of our clients, we conduct either monthly or quarterly CFO meetings where we're really working and focusing on the bigger picture of the business. One of the things that I actually really enjoy about our work is that the fact that we're working with people, and not only with our clients, but within our cohort and our own individual team at Principal Focus. So we do encourage with our clients and work with our clients, but we actually live it and breathe it ourselves as our own team. We do specialize in particular areas and work together and call on that area of expertise. So I really love that about that, and I can see the results. They just keep improving with our clients. So that's pretty exciting from our point of view.
Absolutely. Thank you for that overview, Nicolette. And I believe you're actually a AgriWebb customer as well yourself, aren't you?
I am. I sit on the other side of the desk also, Amber. So,
Love
so
that.
I'm quite the critique at times.
It's perfect. Okay, well, we might jump over into kind of, yeah, the main star of the show now, which is going to be a fireside conversation between the four of us. And to kick things off, Josh, I might start with you. So you're running a stud merino operation. I would love to hear from you what some of the biggest decisions that you're responsible for each year and what kind of the weight of those decisions looks like.
Yeah, so the biggest sort of three areas that I focus on, or my role focuses on, is the people, the production, and then therefore the return on investment, or the forecasting side of things, the financial side of things. So they're the three big calls, or constant calls really, in the whole scheme of it. So how we link all them, how we have data for all of them is very, very crucial in to be able to make decisions and make, wise decisions, I suppose you could say, profitable decisions. So since coming here, we've really implemented these systems in a way that is trying to be seamless. To here we are, a couple of years down the track where this is happening. AgriWebb, Figured, Zero, we've all got those sorts of things just linking in beautifully. Now it's about how we adapt that to the people, how we adapt that to our production changes or decisions, and then the financial side of things, and how we link all that to everyone in back between those three areas. So this is super exciting, and to be running it and rolling it out as we speak is very positive.
That's amazing. And I think, Nicolette, I was quite interested to sort of tap into your perspective of that as well when you're coming into a farm business for the first time. Like, what are the kind of reasons that people are coming to you for help? And you touched on before how you can help, but yeah, I'm really keen to interested a bit more around that role that you can play within the farming team.
Look, the role within our team, and when I say our team within the broader principal focus area, yes, as I said, we're accounting clients, we're an accounting firm, but I have the privilege of I don't need to do compliance work anymore. My colleagues are experts at that, and they're fantastic. But we're actually, as a firm, we're much more interested in the future. So that's the really exciting part. So often clients are coming to us for, often the starting point is actually around the building of a good system. And from my point of view, it's not rocket science. It's actually just about logic, good bones, good structure, systems and process as your foundation can produce an excellent reporting system that you can use and you will use. And that's the point. Like, if something's going to take you 45 minutes to do each month, you're much more inclined to do it than if it's going to take you 4.5 hours. So that's as simple as the basics are. That's often the starting point. But we very much have a philosophy when we work with our clients that we don't want to be doing all the nuts and bolts and the thinking. We want our clients and their teams, importantly, and Josh touched on this with his operations team, is we actually want the whole team to be continuing to be educated, and playing a part in their role and actually understanding where their role fits in the bigger picture of the business, because small things along the way and improvements can have such an impact. But if there's visibility around that just fast tracks, I think, the whole improved performance side of things. So that's really where we land, Lockie, in terms of our client, and how we work with them.
Yeah, I think on that, like, literally, I am the link man.
Yeah.
So we're linking all the information that gets gathered with the people to make the whole thing work. So the easier, more streamlined that, the easier that is for me. But if I don't link between the finances and the operations out the paddock with all the people linked to that, how do we actually function?
Mm.
So that is super crucial from our people out the paddock, putting information to AgriWebb, flowing through all the way through to Figured, to then repeating that and telling them how important that little change that they made in AgriWebb out the paddock affects the Figured result at the end, or the financial result at the end. If they don't know that, why do they get involved, and why do they do it? They need to know what's going on.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, we've seen, v varying examples of just the impact that that can have. And not only on the actual end result, that yes, the production out in the paddock, those results, the flow through in terms of financial performance, but on the people themselves.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes, they're actually genuinely playing an active part and they want to play that
yeah.
active part.
That's right. It's empowering them. I'm empowering them
Mm,
to fill that out and be a part of the whole system, and it makes people feel good. You're exactly right.
mm. I think one of the things that I always have in the forefront of my mind when I'm thinking about, because as Amber, as you alluded to, I use AgriWebb from the other side of the bench as well in terms of a producer. So I understand, and our whole team understand the reality of the production side of things. It's not all about air-conditioned offices of accountants and advisors. It's not. So it needs to be streamlined and understand how the two fit together. But also one of the big things is I do absolutely do not want to be adding administrative record keeping time to the teams of our clients or anybody, because what's the point? And there's no point in duplicating it. So having a really good understanding of actually how those integrations work is fundamental, I think, in terms of setting up a good, rigorous system that is actually as simple as it needs to be, and as simple as it can be.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
definitely. Sorry, Emma. The connection with all of AgriWebb to Figured now is simplified what we do absolutely, and what it's made us do is go back through AgriWebb, back through our other programs, and go right. Why are we recording that? We don't need that anymore. It's really streamlined what we do right from the bottom end.
Mm. One of the questions, Josh, we'll often talk to our clients about is, okay, do you actually need this level of detail, and do you think about it, and do you need it from a planning point of view? That's
Yeah,
one of the very first questions. And a silly example will be, do we really care about individual mobile plan numbers and what we used to pay on postage in terms of planning and that sort of breakdown, or is it just an admin cost? Now that's a frivolous example, but you understand what I'm talking about. Like, think about what we need out the other end in terms of the structure of the system that we're building.
yeah, definitely. We had an example of that today. We're with Smoko this morning, and
Yeah.
we're thinking about there's a mob of ewes out the back there that we're thinking, have we got enough feed? Is it going to rain? Are we right? Do we need to expose them to the sales and move them off farm? Well, we literally sat down here and figured and went bang, plugged a couple of things in, and there's the end result for 2 years out.
Yeah.
What that change makes in the paddock. So these guys actually know what the end result is already before of making that decision this morning, whether we sell or don't sell a mob of ewes. So it's fascinating. There's such an insight just like that.
That's so good to hear, Josh. And I guess I would like to touch on the before a little bit. Both of you have kind of raised what it can look like if we don't have this streamlined decision making and focus on transparency across the operation end. And before we do jump forward to life now, I would like to go back for a second and ask you, Josh, what would it actually look like before AgriWebb and Figured and this integration, trying to make these decisions?
Yeah. So before like we've had AgriWebb since 2018, and when I look back in some of that historical stuff now, there's a whole lot of stuff that was recorded that probably we might use one day, but we don't record now. We don't need now. It's a whole lot simpler. But beforehand, there was spreadsheets everywhere, like literally, just nothing connected. It would take me, office day after office day, sort of trying to connect everything. We'd have to report to the bank or report to my owners of how are we going, where we're situated, can we get a sit rep for where we're at right now in the business. It'd take me days. There's spreadsheets on that computer and paperwork over there, and a half filled out things because different changes of staff or things over the years that the information didn't flow because there's some parts missing, and it was very clunky, very clunky. I spent a lot of my time when I first started here in the new role as just tidying things up, but also trying to find things. It was laborious, and it didn't make it exciting. It didn't make it. There was no joy in doing that. Now it's just extremely easy, extremely easy. Got a good system in place, so yeah. We got rid of a lot of dead wood of spreadsheets, a lot of dead wood of programs that we weren't linked, that we didn't really need that information. It wasn't powerful enough to use and go forward with. So we've back to the three systems, the three tech spots in that system, and away we go. Yeah.
Nicolette, from your perspective, do you see that as a pretty common situation for most of the farmers that come to you, for some of that guidance? Is that a pretty common starting place? And I guess from your perspective, how do you see that shift? Is it as big a jump as it seems to change systems and practices? And what are some of those habits and mindset shifts that you do encourage farmers to adopt in this new way of thinking?
Yeah, look, I think, and I'll echo Josh's sentiment in terms of, before we had these online cloud-based systems, spreadsheets, redundant information, not up to date. So we'd actually spend a lot of time sort of cracking the whip a little bit and checking the authenticity of the data, the accuracy of the data, because obviously we need that for not only reporting historical, but also more importantly, the future focus and the future planning. So it has removed the element of that. And then with the integration that platforms allow in the likes of, for example, AgriWebb and Figured, it actually means, the way that I see that is it's removing another link in the chain, not only another platform that needs updating, but it means that there's one source of truth for that information, and it is integrated and therefore relied upon. So I was assuming that it is being kept up to date. It pushes you leaps and bounds in front because it actually means the whole team, be it our clients' team, and when they're working with external parties, the likes of ourselves or financiers, it actually then means that everyone, yes, is looking at the same thing, obviously, in terms of the data, but more importantly, you can spend more time on the planning and the future work and ticking those. So whether that is expansion, whether that's a change in the business model structure in terms of enterprise mix, let's look at these opportunities, etc. So that's actually been quite a game changer on that front. So we're very much looking more strategic. So that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say like linking the team and the people involved in the business beforehand, we weren't as cohesive as we are now by a long way. It's just the information, looking at the same thing, like you say, is just great now. Whereas before, you don't realise, and looking back now, we didn't realise how actual uncohesive the team, people in the business were with information.
Mm. And look, for any business, whatever industry it is, it can be such a game changer. And, hand on heart, within our business at Principal Focus, just recently we had a development day, our whole team development day, and we were working on more big picture plans and strategies and things like that. Quite dry topics, admittedly, sometimes, but actually being really conscious of how does that look and feel in individual roles across the team. And so the things that they do on a day-to-day basis, each of us as team members, what impact that can have across the board. And that actually, it has had such an impact. And that's pretty exciting.
Oh, sorry, look, I might jump in here. Now that we've kind of had a bit of an overview of life before, and I guess we've set the scene of sort of your business, Josh and Nicolette, how Principal Focus works with producers kind of from that early stage. I'd like to lean into, that sort of early stage a little bit more in the foundation and really get a bit more specific around some of those first metrics that you focused on, Josh, to really get to the stage that you're at today. So I am interested in, yeah, what were those key things that you focused on at the start to try and get to a place that you were really telling the story of the business and getting transparency across the business?
Yeah, so AgriWebb really forms the production, the day-to-day and the production recording as such. So that, we look at like stocking rates and actual numbers of animals and actual area of paddocks. When we look back, and I tried to delve back through the system in history, there was so much loose information in there that nothing flowed. So it was really, AgriWeb's been great for that, just tidying everything up so that when we actually move forward or look forward, we're actually quoting real numbers or live numbers, actual evidence that's true, not spread across everything and uncohesive in itself. Different size paddocks, different size mobs, all things like that. So we tidied up, we really tidied up, and AgriWeb's fantastic at that. If we don't have that information, how do we know how do we get a gross margin, per DC, or how do we get a cost of production, or how do we, know exactly where we're at? So AgriWebb does a fantastic job for that. It links everyone with the people, in the business, with the tasks, with inventory, with you turn that right around and then try and do reports out of it. Absolutely fantastic. When we get audited all the time, that's what happens nowadays. Every 6 months we're getting audited for something. So that the data is all there. It's in an easy spot to find, and everyone can do it. Everyone across the business can actually pull those reports out and hand them over. So the business function keeps going, even though people might drop out every now and again.
Yeah. Okay. That makes a lot of sense, and I think that's really exciting and a great example. And I guess, Nicolette, as well, essentially what we're talking about here today is connecting, the paddock to the bank account in real time. And I think from your perspective as an advisor and someone external to the farming team, having access to that full scope of information, how has that changed the advisory that you're able to offer and the way that you're able to actually work with your clients?
Well, I guess in a really, short answer, it allows us all to just get on with the job and get on with the right area of focus, and that is the future. So rather than actually, pulling information from various sources, be it a spreadsheet or otherwise, and checking the data for a start, we know and we all have access to the same information, real-time data, and it's ourselves, our team, our client might be financiers, so bankers may have access. We might share that with them, etc. So real-time data for a start. So we're not spending time, sweeping the floor and making sure everything's right now, like to date, where we are actually able to, okay, here's what the picture looks like right now in terms of the future, be that 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, 5-year plan. And if we move these dials, so that might be business model, enterprise mix change, that might be expansion, whatever the scenario is. If we move these dials, how does that play out from not only the production side of things, can we accommodate it, but the impact on the financial? And when I talk about financial reporting and financial results, I'm always thinking, and they're of equal importance, both the profitability side of things. Production within a business adds to profitability, but it doesn't necessarily add to cash flow at the same time. So profitability reporting and cash flow reporting and cash flow projection are two different things and two different lenses to look at a business, but they are of equal importance. So we're actually able to spend a whole lot more time on that and how it fits into the bigger picture. And are we moving towards whatever the business objectives are for not only the business itself, but the people within that team?
One of the other things that's been very good on the AgriWebb front, if you look back, and then now with the Figured involvement as well, is we had a sheep enterprise. We actually have 4 types of sheep enterprises. We couldn't sort of separate them through to the financial side of things very easily. Whereas now, with the 4 enterprises, different types of enterprises of sheep, that they're each recorded easily right back through AgriWebb, right through to Figured, production to dollars. We can actually analyse and look at which one's better beneficial to run at the drop of a hat. So, and how we change the percentages of those enterprises around within the sheep enterprise itself as a total is so easily done now.
Josh, one of the things I was thinking about in terms of like when you're talking about like stocking rate and grazing plans and things like that type of thing, and that's obviously production, but often a lot of the things that I'm looking at from the financial reporting side of things is actually, well, does that marry up? So, let's say typically in a livestock enterprise, typically spring is the best season, right? In terms of your ability to carry stock, et cetera, et cetera. So actually overlaying the two, do they align or does that match? So whether that's a combination of a breeding enterprise and some trading or whatever's going on in the business model, how are things looking in terms of the plans and do they complement each other? And then when things do change, seasons, markets, etc., how do those changes, starting at the production, what does that flow through? So I really like that ability to do that easily and easily have those conversations because it's loud and clear.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And what you touched on, the split of those enterprises, even though they're all sheep enterprises, the splits of them is rather important sometimes, how profitable they are during the seasons, markets, everything that gets thrown at us. So we can change those at the drop of a hat in Figured and project forward 2 years and go, right, oh, well, hang on, that's a good way to go. Or no, hang on, we'll increase our commercial herd, our commercial flock, and decrease our terminal flock. Drop of a hat stuff. We can do that so easily.
Yeah.
I guess this is probably a good point to jump in, and this is kind of a joint question for both of you, Nicolette and Josh. But like what we're kind of talking about today, we've seen, Josh, you've gone sort of through this journey, and Nicolette, you've worked with, you're saying over 100 clients. There's, you've gone through the journey with a lot of people. I guess I was kind of wondering, again, it sounds like a big shift, from say the spreadsheets and that kind of, working on your own, Josh, to then engaging an external advisor. Like, what are the kind of things that helped you break that barrier and engage someone? But then also, Nicolette, from your perspective, what we're hearing, Josh talk about and how he runs his business today, is that a common outcome for your clients, like that engaging with the financial side of the business, understanding the business, and really getting excited around the whole processes, not just bogged down in the production? Do you, I guess for both of you, happy to maybe Josh, you go first, but I guess that's the kind of thinking I was at here, that jump from before to now, how you found that process.
Yeah, the jump from before to now and getting an advisor in that's actually helped us, get Figured into the system, get it all through and get the right information through, like make sure we're not just doing it for information or data's sake. There's actually the right information going through. That's been super crucial because that outsider has asked us why we're doing what we're doing and where's the evidence. So it's made us, this system now, to where we are now, we're almost auto-reflecting all the time because we're auto-analysing ourselves because we get this regular advisor that comes in and says, hey, why are you doing that? What are we doing this? There's the evidence why you shouldn't be doing it. There's the evidence why you should be doing it. And then how we work back through that with our whole team to a production side of things, it's all there. It's all easy. But that's been probably the biggest, most beneficial step is the someone outsider looking in on the business and saying, why are you doing this? When you have to be accountable on those levels, you start sharpening your tools a bit.
Fair call, Josh. Look, I mean, I agree with exactly what Josh said, but I just think it's from where you can go with actually having those systems, yes, support you for all of that, but actually end game, like out the other end, what it can also mean, not only internally in terms of the speed at which you can adapt your plans, but it's not to be understated the level of confidence and competence within the system that that can provide. And, to be honest, sleepability about decisions that you're making, especially if they're big decisions and big changes to the business or expansion or whatever that is, but actually having that level of confidence in your numbers, confidence in the reason why you are making whatever that decision is and executing it in a timely manner. Which means that you can capitalize on those opportunities. And then, also a lot of our, and this is, a lot of work that we've been working with a variety of clients, you will, because your information is well presented and well structured and ready now as well. We've seen a lot of enhancement in external relationships and actually people just working well together. So be that the likes of ourselves, agros, animal nutritionalists, financiers. So all of those barreled together are all key players within your business. So out the other end, we have seen results where we've been able to present a much better business case for our clients with financiers, so with bank managers effectively. So the relationship has been enhanced, the rates have been improved. There's all sorts of things. And it's not just about the interest rate. It's not. But those relationships and the foundation of that business has really held that business in a great position to execute those plans for the next 2, 5, 10 years, which is exciting.
Yeah, I'd agree definitely. Like from a farm team point of view, our quarterly meetings now, compared to 2 years ago, 5 minutes of looking back,
Yeah.
50 minutes of looking forward.
Yeah.
That has changed the whole mindset of our team. We're always looking, what can we do better? How can we do that? Because there is no fear about plugging information in and having an answer in 5 seconds flat about what the finances are going to be in a year's time. Because of that, so there's that lack of fear of having to gather information and then look forward. Now the information is already there and it flows so easily. It's more about being positive and looking forward. You're right. I'd agree with that 100%.
Yeah. And I think even the fact that, my observations across a number of clients that have larger teams as well. It's not always just two people within the business. Often we do have teams, and there might be moving parts to that team base, and that's fine. But the more visibility, that means the more knowledge that each team member have, regardless of the role in the whole group, the greater contribution they make, and also then the greater they can see the visibility around the results that that's achieving, which is only going to mean ongoing contribution to the business, which is great. So from a people development side of things as well, and fulfillment for them, because let's face it, almost every industry do have challenges with recruitment of great team members. So we want to hang on to those people. I think that's also, it's not to be overlooked, that element, what that can bring.
The faith, like as an employee still, not an owner of a business, the faith that the owners have in the information that's getting presented to them now is just fantastic. So there's a whole different level of trust being created because of the actionable systems we have in place. They're real time and they're looking forward. So yeah.
I think we've covered a lot of ground here, and I think that's it's really interesting to see. I guess the whole purpose of this call was really to understand how that kind of broader team can be connected and working together. And I think probably one of the final things that'd be great to just touch back on is really, we chatted a bit last week, Josh, and I remember some of the small wins as well that you were mentioning, is that having this system has, and you have touched on it throughout this call, but whether you just want to elaborate a little bit more on one, your farming team and how having everyone so connected and, telling us just before this call around some exercise you've done as well to really just understand and get everyone on the same page and how impactful that's been for just your business as a whole. And then also just by having, cutting out all the, your way through the weeds and just having that information that's actually relevant, how that's helped you identify some of those, leaky pipes or some inefficiencies in the business and really helped you find, the 1%ers that you can change and really actually, like, if you've got some examples of some things in your business that have really been quite impactful from having done that.
Yeah, look, it's made us go right back through everything, and delve a bit deeper. But what the outcome of that is that it's really streamlined now. So we're not wasting time recording data for data's sake. We're recording data that actually made us financially in the end, which is why we're all here, really. But what it's done, this process of digging deeper in AgriWebb, involving Figured and involving an advisor, that process has really united the team way more than what ever expected. It has empowered them to make better decisions all the way back through, or come to the management teams as such, with ideas that are sound. They really are. So when we look back, the changes or the little things that have been going through the system, it's like we've got a small mob of ewes that we joined late, and we've just scanned them, the other day, and they're pregnant, and do we actually need that mob here? So we're sitting down here discussing that at Smoko this morning, exactly that. Do we need that mob here? And we run the scenario straight away through the system, bang, done. Yes, we do. That's the answer. Those sorts of things have been. I suppose what I'm getting at is that human connection in the business is very, very solid, and this system is enabling us to do that and enhance that, which is then changing the mindset. It's changing the thinking of this business. We've gone ahead in leaps and bounds in the last couple of years because of that connectivity with our people. Therefore, that and the business, and that is going outside the business with our advisors, our bankers, our people that come into this business, looking at it or being involved in it on varying levels. It's just they see the confidence in the team, they see the confidence in the system behind all the information that we produce, and as a stud breeding situation, that is just super crucial from all levels. We get audited. We're selling wool, to icebreaker contracts, and we're getting audited all the time. So the fact that you can just pump out them at the drop of a hat, it's not negative or it's not concerning for me to get audited nowadays, where I guarantee you a lot of people stress about it. It's not difficult. The information's there because we've empowered everyone in the business, from the lowest person to the highest person, to actually use AgriWebb properly and efficiently. Therefore, Figured's populated efficiently and accurately. And there it is, through the system. Yeah.
And systems are there to support the main game. That's it.
Yeah.
So by having an understanding of the different systems, and one of the important things at the very start, I think, is knowing and understanding what the platforms and the systems will offer and do for you. So AgriWebb, production-based. Figured, financial reporting. Understand what they will do and deliver for you, but also, just as importantly, what they won't do for you. Okay? And so all I mean by that is financial management reporting sits over here and it's connected to production-based information, but it's not going to deliver paddock record treatment and animal health treatments. You don't want it to. You know that. But you have a system that does that. And yes, you're ticking your compliance needs, etc., but actually most important is around the management of your business. That's how I say it.
Yeah, I think a lot of, when we look back at how the combo now of where we're at and our decisions made in the business, there are a whole lot clearer outcomes out of the info that we have. They're a whole lot clearer, but with really sound financial justification. I think that because we're making decisions and changing the business around all the time to suit that from that information, our confidence level, and especially as an operations manager that's reporting financially and production wise, the confidence I have to produce that and make those decisions because we've actually done that and had really positive outcomes is just growing every day, and therefore the business is growing because it's growing internally.
And I think, the way I sort of look at that, Josh, is you can see the follow through.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you take the swing, but you do follow through and you can see where it lands.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Some incredible insight there. Thank you both so much for that. We are running out of time, but I do have one question I would like to put to both of you before we wrap up and have a look at a few questions. So just another shout out, if you do have any questions for Josh or Nicolette or Lockie, please drop them in the chat now. But Josh, I'll start with you, and then Nicolette, we can jump over and get your point of view. But I know we're going to have a lot of people nodding along to all of the incredible insights that you've both shared today and the learnings. And I would just love to hear from you if there is anyone on this call who's thinking about expanding their farming team or management practices, or taking the first step with an advisor or adopting tech like AgriWebb and Figured. What's one thing that you would say to that producer?
Change now, make information flow, and work on the business, not in it. Simple as that. It's not difficult. This hasn't been a difficult process at all. And I'm 51. I'm not that tech savvy. I've got younger people here that are way more tech savvy than me, but it hasn't been difficult. I love farming. I enjoy farming like you wouldn't believe. And I love a big sheep tragic. We actually know what we do very well. I also know the production and the financial things about it as well. So it hasn't been difficult. It really hasn't.
Amazing.
Well done, Josh.
Let.
Well, look, from my point of view, I think, and yes, I agree with Josh in everything that he said, but in our corner, in terms of accountants and advisors, it doesn't have to be rocket science. So keep it logical, the systems, take some time to just think about, and the very first question you should ask yourself with systems is, what do you need? What do you need out of this system? What information? And that will help guide you to build the right structure and the foundations for it. So good bones to the reporting system. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated, and I would never be an advocate for that. But keep it logical, keep it to something that's going to spit information out at the other end for you that you can use and plan on. So garbage in equals garbage out, but similarly, great bones, good structure, awesome system out the other end that's usable. One of the other things that I would really encourage people to do is actually lean on those external parties. So whether that's your accountant, whether that's your financier, whether that's your agro, and build on those skills. We can't all be experts on everything. So build the team, not only the internal team, but the external team as well, and tap into those skills. We do that in-house at Principal Focus all the time, and it invariably gets the best results when we're working together and drawing on those levels of expertise. And look, from our point of view, also what we have seen in terms of if you're looking at systems and implementing, what can really fast track clients is just taking the time to tap into those skills and expertise of external people to build the system, but also fast track them in terms of their knowledge and know-how and actually how to drive the system. So just increasing and fast tracking their level of competency and confidence as well in using the system and getting amongst it. You've got to actually allow yourself time to use it, get confident with it, but also get just get used to it, because the more you use things, like anything you do, the more you can not only get the results, but also see where you have made errors, or where there's been some sort of anomaly that you need to iron out. But you'll only do that with runs on the board. So.
Perfect. Well, thanks very much to both of you for your time today. It's very much appreciated. And I think there's been a couple of questions come through around sort of the practical elements of these systems. And so I just quickly kind of wanted to address that, this call was very much a chat with Nicolette and Josh to see what a real life, interaction looks like between a farmer and advisor, and how people can work together, that farm team, and the tools is essentially, where we position AgriWebb and Figured, the tools that enable and support you to achieve, what we've heard about today. And so I guess that's where we've got a poll as well that Amber will rerun. It's the same as at the start, but for those really wanting a more detailed, practical how to, or what do these systems actually look like, all that kind of information, let us know in that poll, and we'll follow up with you after this so we can give you some more information on what things practically look like.
Thanks, Locke. I'm just relaunching that now, so please feel free to jump in and fill that out now. Thank you so much, Nicolette and Josh. There's so many incredible takeaways from this conversation. I think this webinar could have been about 3 hours long easily, and we still would have had to cut you off. But we just really, really appreciate both of your expert insights. There's nothing more valuable than having a customer voice on the call. So thank you so much, Josh and Nicolette. Your insights about working directly with producers through Principal Focus have been really incredible. And I know there'll be lots of takeaways for the audience today. Before we do wrap up, and just while you are finishing off that poll, I did want to share that we have a really exciting promotion running at AgriWebb at the moment. So if you have been on the call today and you've been wanting to get things a little bit more streamlined within your business, it's a great time to get started with AgriWebb. You can, of course, do a free trial as well if you'd like to dip your toe in, but we do have our 40% off sale, which is our biggest discount, biggest promotion of the year. And it's going to be finishing up at the end of this month. So I'll include all of this information in the follow-up email as well. So you have that. We'll share a link to the previous webinar that we've done with Figured, which is more of a live demonstration of the technical side of how the integration works. And we'll also share some key takeaways from the session today as well. Any other closing thoughts from you, Locke?
No, I think it's been amazing to chat to everyone today. I think from the Figured side, let us know through the poll, and we'll also be getting in touch so we can give you a few more practical next steps and help connect you with the right people to support you if it's something that you're wanting to adopt and help bring into that business and drive things forward for your farm. So just want to say thanks for jumping on the call today. Really appreciate it, and wish you all the best with the rest of your days.
Awesome. Thank you all very much. We look forward to seeing you on the next webinar.